That's the like their kids. Ladies and gentlemen, can I have your attention, please? We start this meeting, like from the start, I have to pledge allegiance. To the flag. One nation. First item on the agenda is going to be an roll call. Roll call are four, but present one is outside of the vote in the vote. First item is on the agenda, consider approving the minutes held from April 23rd. I'd make a motion, we approve those minutes. Motion made, second by Dave, all in favor? Thank you. Next item up on the, sorry. Oh, and also we need, I apologize, we also need the town meeting minutes approved also, and from the May 6th town meeting.
I didn't read them, but I make a motion, we accept them.
Second by Dave, all in favor? Next item on is we have the citizen, Mr. Ray Brewer, like to speak tonight. Ready before I do it, so.
Yeah, good evening, everybody. Yeah, I'm recently moved here about a year and 7 months ago from Ohio. My wife and I live on Mountain View and Farm Road. Anyways, about 20 some years ago, I was at an antique store. And they dealt in political items. In a store called General Lee's Antiques and Collectibles. But anyways, I bought this picture. And it's James Blaine. And it actually hung in the convention in 1884 when he was nominated as a Republican candidate for president. He ended up narrowly losing that race, but that's a convention piece. The draping around it is muslin cloth. That's in the 1800s. That was part of a stage when President McKinley, as a candidate, came to Asheville, Ohio. They had draped the stage with that muslin cloth. And some lady, she was like in her 90s at a flea market I was at. I bought the whole big box full of it. And it's really incredible material. But I wanted to donate it to the town of Oakland. And I want to donate it to the council to see how you want to handle it. It is a historical piece. You know, Blaine, he was a congressman, Speaker of the House, U.S. Senator, Secretary of State twice under two different presidents. And the list goes on and on and on about the man. So I had it in my office hanging. Since I moved here, I have it with my other collectibles, and I thought it just needed to have a good place. So I figured I would donate to you folks and to see how whatever you feel fit with. Pardon me?
So it's wonderful, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
Great, thank you very, very, very much.
Yeah, it's quite a historical piece.
I make a motion, we accept the picture from Ray and appreciate it, and I think we need a little plaque on it where it came from. And we thought when we're trying to
Put
put
my wife in there, her name is Fran.
Can you do that? Made second by Kelly, all in favor? Great, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Ray.
Have a ton of ideas when we can put it already.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you'd be great. Thank you very much. Next order of business, is the Oakland body cam. Chief, are you gonna speak on that? And if so, could you come up?
Yeah,
Thank you, sir.
so thanks for having us. We currently don't have body cameras. My good friend, District Attorney Dave Mullins here, she's probably gonna talk a little bit about how important cameras are and what they're transitioning to. I wrote a grant last year for body cameras. It was awarded, then after the election in November, it wasn't funded. I resubmitted a grant for body cameras. I'm hoping that comes through, so. There's a money piece to it. Obviously, the body cameras are not cheap. We could either go with Axon or Leslock. They both have their plus and minuses. We're going through that right now. The DA's office is going with Axon, so without further ado.
So, Don Megan Maloney, so nice to see everyone. The reason that the DA's office is going to Axon is not for body cameras, because we don't wear body cameras in the court, right? But what we do have to do by statute and by the Constitution is everything that law enforcement gives us, we have to give to the defense attorney so that they can see all of the information. So we need the information to figure out what charges to bring and how to prosecute the case, but we also have to share the information. We currently use a system to do that called share file. So literally, law enforcement uploads the information and then we get to see it and we just attach the defense attorney to it electronically, and they have exactly the same file that I have. And this was really great when everything shut down. We were able to keep working because everything was electronic. And it's also helped us avoid discovery issues. Discovery is when you don't give something to the defense attorney and then they want the case dismissed because you haven't given something. So all of that was taken care of by, because we have to do the same thing, right? So there's never question. They have the same thing we have. The problem with ShareFile is it's really a business tool, not a prosecutor or law enforcement tool. And so we've outgrown that, because there are very, very few departments left that don't have body cameras. Most of them have body cameras. And so they simply can't handle the amount of material that we're uploading. So we started looking around at what other companies are out there and who provides the service. And the reason we landed on Axon is, one, we got to see it in action with the Somerset County Sheriff's Office and what the product was like in terms of body cameras, and they gave us a free trial with it. But two, we don't have to pay more if we increase our storage. And that's a huge selling point for us because our storage is going up all the time. And it's a product that can handle that. Where it really benefits law enforcement, if they get body cameras, the biggest hit on law enforcement is uploading all of these videos to the DA cloud. That is so time consuming that I've been told that departments have to hire someone to do nothing but that with some of their agencies. Now, it's just a matter of like, they have to upload. Sometimes people will even say they'll go home and then finish it the next day, because if a particularly long video could take all night to upload. As the quality gets better in these videos, you would have a sharper quality, you've got better sound quality, it takes even longer to upload. So it's just getting worse. And now with everyone who has a body camera, we're required to give all of that to defense. So if you have Axon body cameras, and I have the Axon storage system, which will start for me on July 1st, Budget Committee approved it, which I am very grateful to. Grateful to Mike Perkins and to the entire Budget Committee for seeing the need for this. We had to pay for one system or the other. This one's a little bit more expensive, but it also works better. If you also have Axon body cameras, you don't have to upload it anymore. What happens is when you put the camera in the docking station, it uploads automatically. So it is a huge time saver for law enforcement if they have the exact same product that the DA's office has. It doesn't make any difference to me. I'm going to get the videos either way. It's just going to be a lot easier on law enforcement. And the reason that you really want to have body cameras is people are getting more and more brazen with what they're willing to say. And give you an example, we had a OUI trial just this year where the defendant, a woman, took the stand and said that a Kennebec County Sheriff's Office had essentially assaulted her at the time that she was arrested. Now, the jury found her guilty of resisting arrest and of OUI. So, and by doing so, said, we believe the officer, we don't believe what this woman said when she took the witness stand. Think about what that officer had to go through, hearing someone lying about him from the witness stand, right? That was extremely difficult. He was really upset about it. And he's a young guy, a new officer, great officer. And as a result of that trial, Kennebec County Sheriff's Office is now getting body cameras because it's really for officer protection. to have that and to be able to show the great work that they're doing. And that's been the really wonderful part about seeing all these videos. Our law enforcement in this area, Kennebec County and Somerset County, they do a phenomenal job. And it's been awesome to be able to actually watch them interacting with people and the work that they do. So happy to be able to work with them. Chief Stubber and I have worked together ever since I started in 2013, and it's just, he's phenomenal to work with. We're so very lucky, and the whole department is amazing. So I just would hate to have them ever falsely accused the way that I saw with that officer from Kennebec Sheriff's Office. So I don't know if there's any questions about Axon.
The one you're looking at is the same as what the Somerset County Sheriff wrote up in the paper here, that AI, so that it'll give you a draft write-up of the procedure, whatever was said.
Right, that's correct. It is the exact same body cameras that the Somerset County Sheriff's Office uses. And what's nice about the additional feature that they have is they give you a draft of your report. Defense attorneys don't like it because it makes the report really bulletproof. And the only thing the officer has to do is read over the report, make whatever changes need to be made, but you're not sitting and drafting for hours and hours, because you do have this AI assistance that's essentially giving you a first draft before you have to sign off on it. And for me, it's going to give me transcripts of all these videos. Right now, we have to watch the entire video before we can approve or not approve a case. And they can be hours. So in OUI, when I first started as a prosecutor, I could screen an OUI in 5 minutes. Right? I mean, it was just the report. I read the report, I could say, yep, this person was under the influence or not. 5 minutes. Now, every OUI has at least an hour of video, at least, if not more. And you're supposed to watch that before you make your decision. Well, with the transcript, you can scan the transcript and you can say, there's where the 15-minute wait period started. Okay, I can go to this part of the video and just watch that part. That's the element that I'm going to need to prove for this case, instead of watching someone sitting in the back of the cruiser not saying anything. But how do I know they're not right? So the transcript's going to be hugely helpful for me, and I know that Sheriff Lancaster has told me the AI feature has been phenomenal for his department.
Then you can get the officer back on the road quicker.
Right. Now, I know you also need another officer here, so we'll put in a plug for that. The officers do such hard work, and they're incredible, and they need to have a full team. So I think the world of these guys, and all of them are amazing. So you're lucky. You're lucky you got a good crew. Yeah.
I have a question.
Maybe if you guys, I don't know. When if you get body cams, are they on all the time?
So
Or do you pick and choose?
we have a policy on body cameras, and they will be on at all times. And just to build on what Megan said, we used to have body cameras. And at the time I was, I think I was still the deputy chief. Anyways, I was a detective, and they were an amazing tool for when complaints against an officer. They were just such an amazing tool to have to go back to the video. Half the time when people found out that we had body cams, they took them and like that. So I really missed having that. But nowadays, God forbid we ever get a shoot or something like that, we don't have body cameras. Of course, it's in a very, very bad position. And also, the AI piece, that does come with an additional cost. I just want to be clear about that. That's an additional cost to have that. Did you understand?
No, I didn't know it was an additional cost.
Yeah.
So I guess I just need clarification. Whenever you get dispatched somewhere, that camera goes on.
Yes, you can program it to come on with the activated blue lights. You can turn it on manually, or there's lots of different ways you can configure it.
Because Kobe Security has cameras.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kobe Security is great too.
Yeah, we definitely need cameras. I brought Tiffany because she demoed, we had demo cameras, and she kind of was in charge of deploying those and demoing and everything. So if you have any questions, Tiffany is knowledgeable with the specifics.
So for anyone who's looking to know what these cameras look like that we've been trialing, right now I have on their newest version, it's the Axon Body 4. We're currently on a trial with them. It was only supposed to be 30 days, but they've extended it so that I could come here if anyone wanted to see anything about it. Honestly, I'm the detective for Oakland. I'm currently working the road on patrol, so granted, I understand that the AI technology, it does cost extra. But for an example, I had a 4.5-hour interview that I had to do. I was able to upload that and I uploaded it. It took me less than 15 minutes to go through, proofread it, go through everything and have it turned in to the district attorney's office. Whereas prior to having that draft one AI software, I'd already been working on it for 6 days in between going to multiple different calls. Where I've had this, I've been out on patrol more. So I was catching people doing destruction to town property, doing donuts in the overlook. I've actually been able to catch more people and stop crime as it's occurring rather than waiting, hours for people to come across it and not have any suspects. It's been very beneficial for me. I like having a body camera. I came from an agency that had cameras at all times. So coming here, not having one, that was an adjustment. Writing reports, we're writing reports on your memory without a camera. Whereas now I can go through and if I want to find a key point of, this person who tried to assault me, I've got that on camera, it's showing it. One of the big things that's come up is I had a gentleman right outside of the police department who came at me with a large chain with a padlock and large bolts at the end of it. I had no camera, not to prove it that he was hiding and came after me with it. With a camera, that would have all been caught of him coming at me. So that wasn't it's a protection for us, but it's also for the public. Just like Chief said, if they make a complaint on us as an officer, he can go and review all of that video. It's a protection for us as an agency, but it's also a protection for the town. If I get in an officer involved shooting, without a camera, it's my word versus the person. In the long run, it saves money for lawsuits if the town if they try to sue us for something like that.
Most of the time, you're sending one officer to a call, correct? So having the camera is just added.
It's an added security.
Yeah, I would like to see 2 officers going to a call, but we don't have to do.
Right, yeah, we don't, and that's been a change, but honestly, I think the cameras have really helped. It helps me with, as much as I would love to have the draft one software with the AI to write my reports, I understand that it's an additional cost. I have been working with Axon, and they have been very responsive to what we're looking for to be able to get the cost down even more. They have sent over some contracts. Their biggest thing is for us to sign into the contract, it's 1% down upon signing the contract. And then you have to finish the 9% by the end of the calendar year. And then after that, it's the end of June of every fiscal year that the yearly payment is due. The biggest thing with our cameras, with Axon in particular, you go through different companies and they typically make you sign a 5-year contract. It's an automatic 5-year, you have to sign a 5-year contract. With some of the other body cameras, so for instance, I got us quoted for 12. That covers the whole police department as well as if we have a reserve officer. With that, you'll get the 12, for instance, we'll get the 12 cameras at the signing of the contract. Halfway through the contract, they send us 12 brand new cameras, we send the old ones back. At the end of the 5 years, we get another 12 cameras. So rather than any other company that they only send you those 12 in the beginning, you have to hope and pray they don't break over those 5 years. They'll overnight us a new one if it breaks. So they've been really, really good to work with so far. And we've had the trial going since the beginning of April.
I'm confident we'll get the grant. I'm not confident it'll pay for the AI stuff. We'll pay for the cameras for all 5 years, but if they're not paid for the AI.
How much is the AI piece on top of the camera, Chief?
I think it was initially quoted at 100,000,
And so the
Down to.
So the quote, I just worked with the representative today because I told them that the quote that they sent me, I felt was too expensive. I'm not going to ask the town to pay $200,000 for body cameras. I'm just not.
For a year or five.
For over 5 years. I got them with the AI technology, with the draft one, which helps you write your reports. You cannot copy and paste those reports until they've been completely edited. We will not let you. There's brackets you have to fill out. It gets the nuts and bolts, but if you want to add emotion, this person was crying, you have to physically type that in there. They will not let you go forward until you've completed all of those steps. So with the AI software, it's a 60-month term. With tax, it comes to $125, $6.99 and 58 cents. That's with the AI, with 12 cameras.
For 5 years?
That's total for 5 years.
She did.
That would be minus $60,000.
50 to 50, we get the grant. Yeah.
Okay, so how much is just the AI? Whatever that is, minus 60. I haven't done the math.
So the other grant, which all it does is it takes the video. We have to, like Megan said, we have to sit there and go through. It doesn't have any of the lists or anything on finding the pinpoint. So Megan would have to sit through my 4.5-hour interview of torture and try to find the key points that they need to go forward with the charges. That's 50,000. That's what the 50. I think it's just under 50,000. So that's with nothing else. All it does is it records, and then you sit back and do it the old ways of trying to type everything up, which can take hours sometimes. And when you're trying to cover calls, your reports sit there. With this one, this will help you write your reports. I've been out on patrol more with them, even though it costs more, but they're allowing us to trial this out to see if that's something we like. All 4 of us that are working patrol, we all have these cameras right now. So all patrol officers, to include me, have these cameras. They're using them. I've talked with a lot of them. They all seem to enjoy it, and they found themselves out on the road more rather than stuck behind a computer typing a report.
Chief, what do you think that's gonna save you per year? Per work hour?
I can tell. Let me answer that with a story and then answer. We have 2 officers that are being sued right now for a high-speed chase that started in a different city next door and came into Oakland. All my officers did was. Yeah, so they spiked the vehicle. They didn't have any involvement in the arrest, but they were involved in the lawsuit. They're getting sued for assault and everything else. Now, if they had cameras, they wouldn't even be involved in this lawsuit. So as a town, we have to defend them. So, there's a savings there. And although I haven't done the math, I would say we would have a lot more time on the road than we do now. Because with all the paperwork and different things we have to do now, if you're aggressive during a shift, you're gonna spend half of it writing reports. So it would save us a lot of time and get the officers back on the road a lot quicker.
So they've sent us a calculator to play around with. If I could get it to work, it's not, part of it's not, we love technology. So if, well, that's not accurate. I don't get 35 reports a day. So if I would.
For a second. Go ahead, Lynn. I'm gonna get ready to. Oh, no, nothing wrong.
Yep, nope, I just did that.
I got you, I'll get you in a minute.
So if I spend at a minimum, which like in my spot as the detective, this doesn't work. So if you have an officer working who has to spend a minimum of 3 hours a day working on a report. This is just saying if you have one officer on the road like we do, making $35 an hour, it's $105 a day that for those 3 hours that officer is spending writing their reports. Your annual report writing time for that one officer is over 1,000 hours. And the annual cost on that one officer, if they're making $35 an hour, is almost $40,000 that you're spending writing those reports annually. And that's only if you're spending 3 hours a day on reports, which a lot of the times, depending on the cases, you're spending a lot longer. We're doing follow-ups. we're trying to find people that have committed these crimes. So it does take a lot longer depending on the type of crime. I think OUI is at a minimum. You're on that call for a minimum of 2.5, 3 hours. From the time you stop the car to the time you get ready to transport them to either the jail or bail them out.
Angela?
Yeah, if we're gonna do it, I would suggest the AI if it does their reports, because $65,000 roughly that we would have to pay extra for the AI, divided by 5 years is $13,000. I can guarantee you a lawsuit could cost me more than $13,000 a year to defend, so it already pays for itself.
And Megan, once you get these reports, ma'am, when did you figure it might be slam dunk? And I'm not saying slam dunk, but it's a lot more likely to be.
Yeah, I think juries definitely like to see for themselves what happened, and they're a lot less willing to accept someone else telling them what happened. And that's just the facts, and it's really unfortunate, but I know that you guys feel that every time that they're like, oh, you're saying it looked like that, but I want to see it. I want to see that high-speed car chase. I want to see what the man coming at you with that, right? So it just absolutely changes the ability to get that conviction. The more evidence you can put in front of the jury that they can see with their own eyes, yeah, you're gonna have a better chance to get that conviction, for sure.
I think the other part of this too is that we're looking at the prosecution of people who might have broke the law, but as you started your story, all of a sudden now you got someone accusing your officer of something. You know, if I had $5,000 on that table, and now you're only saying there's $1,000, where the other $4,000, and the legal suits just go on and on and on. But I think all of a sudden we'd be saving ourselves a lot more money that way too. I know on our school buses, all our school buses and RSU 18 have cameras. Every last one of them with camera. And it's funny because when I was the safety director for RSU 18, people come in and said, your bus driver says this is my child. Well, hang on, let's go take a look. You want to write a statement on it? No, I'm all good with that. I'll talk to my child. Whole story changes, you know, so the legality in, I think, it would save our option. And it's a little comfort blanket for an officer all by themselves. That's my opinion. Anybody else got any comments or thoughts or questions? Joe?
Picture's worth 1,000 words.
See, I'm
On
sorry.
the old ad, picture's worth 1,000 words.
Yes, yeah.
I'm right down to that. And the officers need it, especially if they're going out by themselves. Personally, I wouldn't go out by myself, so.
Right, you wouldn't take a cane with you?
I take a shotgun, mate.
You'd scare anyone to go.
You Dana?
You'd scare.
Say anything, you understood them and use them? Joe, anything, you want to say anything?
You're talking to me?
Yeah, if you had any questions or thoughts, I see you shaking your head, yes, no?
No, I think it's a great idea for the town hall.
Yes.
Worth the money.
Yep. Dana?
Chief, when would you know about the grant?
It took all of the year last time. Before we found out that the fund was approved and then not budgeted after the election. Go through Jared Golden's office. And they're a little more confident, I'm a little more confident this time that it will fund it. So I was fingers crossed. It would probably be between 8 months and a year till we find out.
Okay. That's what I was trying to get at. We just come through a budget session and a town meeting, you know, so coming up with another $100,000 tomorrow is not gonna be well received.
No, I just resubmitted last week. So
We might be talking the end of the year or.
we very well could be, yes.
So the big thing with this that I've gotten them down to is, so for this, if we were to do the AI technology, for Chief, can't say me, for Chief to sign the contract, we only need to put 1% down of the total cost. And then after that, we have the other 9% that's due at the end of December. So they actually have it split up in here. He didn't split it up fully. He was trying to get this into me today because I did say, I don't like that number you sent me. Can we do something better? So if we were to split it up evenly over 5 years, the first year it would be in total, $139.90. So that's if they didn't split up the 1% and the other 9%. So we would only need, and then say we only do the 10% the first year. So we only do 10% of all of this. They will then take it and split up the rest of it over the rest of the contract. Rather than us trying to come up with $120-something thousand immediately. It would be spread out after that.
Patrice?
I don't know how these grants work, so if the town were to go ahead with the purchase sooner than that, could the grant, if it comes through, then be used to reimburse the town?
Yeah,
So that you could get those now?
That's the gamble. That we don't get the grant.
But if you did get it, would they say, oh, well, the town has already started the contract, so we're not
No,
gonna let
no,
you
I just have to go to council and they have to approve accepting the grant.
accepting the
That's all.
grant? So I mean, I think we should think about trying to do this sooner than 8 or 9 months, if we could do it for a smaller amount.
Would they do a monthly payment for 60 months?
I think they'll entertain it, but just by the end of each, so theirs runs off fiscal years like we do here. The only difference is when we sign the contract, that first 10% has to be paid by the end of December. So, after that, it's at the end of every fiscal year, so it'll be due by June 30th of every year. So we can make payments each month if we would like, as long as we are down to the final amount each year.
So ultimately, it's 10% of $125,000. For the first year. 12.5.
And we only need 1% to sign the contract to get them here.
So 3,000 apiece for us. Sure, David. We stay another 10 years.
So we take it up. We take it up.
That's something that we should entertain to start now. I just think the benefit is so huge with what the payout is. It's just not worth anybody's life. Or, you know, any cases or anything like that. It's gonna pay for itself. There's no way that $25,000, you did it in one lawsuit, one anything. And that's like starting pay, that's the retainer for a lawyer. I think it's something that we should move forward with, and if we get the grant, fine, put it on it, but I think it's really the sign of the times. You know, you don't want to be left behind and not be protected.
What is the amount of the 1% that you're talking about to get it going?
Well, that's right.
1% of 25, so for the, yeah, I gotta do math.
So no, 1% of the 125,000.
1,200.
That's what I'm wondering, if it's of the
1,200.
Yeah, I believe it's 1% down of the total cost.
Okay, we will pledge that 1% if we can get this going now.
Say it again.
We will pledge $1,250, the two of us, to get this going for the police department.
Thank you.
Thank you. Make a motion.
Get my math.
We have that great, that's right.
$125,000.
Yeah. Clarify, we'll pledge $1,250.
David, 7.
Fortunately, they have goalkeepers. How long has it been since the town?
I've been here since March of 23, and we have not had,
I think they probably, they don't hold it, they stopped holding a charge probably in 2020, 2021. I don't disagree, and they're selling a pretty compelling story to get the, which I agree they should, as most people here know, I did a job for 20 years, I share this story. The only problem I got is, they've got this compelling story, why wasn't it in the budget 3 weeks ago? If you really needed it, it should have been there. It's another $125,000 on top of whatever his budget was. I mean, they said they've been doing a study since David Rowe, March.
Didn't put it in the budget because we knew there was a grant available.
But I think the answer here tonight is if you don't go for this, I'm like,
It's the gamble.
It should have went to that meeting 2 weeks ago. Again, I'm not against it, it's a great tool, but it's coming up around.
I'd like to make a motion that we accept this generous offer from the Reese's and that we have some figures for our next meeting to vote on. You know, with Kelly and you work together so that we know, because right now we'd be voting on a little bit unknown figures here, so, we'd like to see some things on paper for next meeting to vote on.
Absolutely, yes.
So it's gonna be,
It's this.
I mean, maybe,
I mean, we could get lucky, we could get lucky and get it sooner, but it usually takes a little while in Washington.
It's most, we're gonna accept no anything and, see the figures for next month to vote on whether we want to proceed with them.
I'd like to extend on that motion just a little bit, just so that once we accept this, but let's take and ask you if you can get with Kelly and find out if she'll accept monthly payments throughout this whole thing. My next big question and worry is that it's on will they let us continue just for 2 more weeks that we can get our ducks in a row?
So right now,
Next council meeting.
right now I have the cameras have been extended to June first. So I at least have them until June first. If you guys, if you want, I can ask absolutely to extend them because I don't like going out on patrol without a camera on. I absolutely,
On the 28th
this month,
of this month.
we'll still have them at that time.
We without body camera. So.
I just think there should be a stipulation in, if we accept the money, the donation, that if this doesn't go through, that the money is returned.
Fair enough. Thank you for your general talk.
I'll add that to my motion.
Do we have a second? Second, all in favor?
So all we're doing is voting to accept the pledge,
Yeah.
generous pledge, and to talk about it at our next meeting.
To see numbers and to clarify that if they'll accept monthly payment.
We don't like the month numbers we see next meeting, we'll give their money back.
Gotcha.
Right.
Say
I
thank
just
you.
wanted to be clear.
Yeah, no, there's a lot.
That was a lot.
I'm thinking with the monthly payments, it's a lower payment per month, and then once we get the grant, that can chop a huge.
Right.
We just want to be sure of the fight figure that we're voting on, because these people are gonna pay for it.
Yes.
The monthly payment and the timeline.
The monthly payment is gonna be approximately $2,000. Motion is made now, all in favor? Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for coming in. Always a pleasure.
Thanks.
Thank you. Next item up is the award of paving bid. We have a number of bids here.
Who's being these paving before, Kelly?
We didn't meet you last year, so we did use it when you're required.
Is Jeff good with the low bid?
He is.
I'd make a motion, we accept B and B paving bid of $312,529.68.
Motion is made, I'll second it. All in favor?
That's our low bid.
That's the low bid. In favor, questions? Good. Next up, thank you. Next item up is, domain on migration update.
So we've been approved by the federal government to have a .gov domain. So instead of .us, it'll be .gov. It provides more security. It's free. It's not free though to work with our tech people to get our domain switched over from openmain.us to .gov. So I just wanted to make you aware of that. So I'm waiting on a quote from Bain Technology Group to see what that would cost. I don't think it'll be much. So I just wanted, that's an update. Hopefully everybody's okay with it. It's a good thing. It's a secure thing. I think Augusta for .gov, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of towns are moving towards that. .gov.
Safety committee update.
So this is the second reading of our safety policy. I did make some updates, for. There were a couple suggestions that you had at the last meeting. Under department head information needed for reporting to HR. We added list of witnesses. Added in the incident analysis section, lack of training and safety classes and hard hats. No, no technology. Yeah. So those are the two sections, that we had made adjustments to. Our safety committee did meet, everybody liked this policy and second reading, we're asking for approval.
I'd make a motion, we accept this recommendation from the state committee of the procedures and how they're gonna investigate accidents. Any questions?
Motion been made, second, by Kelly, all in favor? Thank you. Next up, we're talking about the summer schedule.
No. So the two dates on your agenda, we usually meet once in July and once in August.
We've always put on that and I think, thanking you, is if something comes up,
Absolutely.
we're gonna be notified.
Yep,
Yeah.
the special meeting.
To go to a half of the meeting. So, then we gonna make motion on the 30th of July and the 20th of.
I'd make a motion, we have our regular stated meetings on the July 30 and August 20, and Kelly will call a special meeting if there's anything important comes up, we have to sign or come.
Motion made, do we have a second? Second by Dave, all in favor? Oh, July 30th and August 20th. Next up is a park and ride for the ATV park and ride, Kelly.
Yep, so May 30th, there is a municipal / ATV trail grant due. We have most of it filled out. I've been working with Lloyd Snowden he's here. There he is. And Kevin Period, who's the trail master for the Westlaw ATV Club. So I sent you guys the guidelines of it. But let's get to where we need an approval. So we had a ATV committee put together about 2 years ago. We've been working on different areas for a park and ride. We have the decommissioned Madison Branch Rail bed is right in our backyard. We approached the school at first to see if we could enter in through Williams Court. But then decided that would be a huge expense building a road all the way down to Wrigley Field, the second over here. We own Wrigley Field, this is the front part. We do have a temporary crossing here over the live rail. We also own this big piece in the back. So the rail bed, the decommissioned rail bed is right here. So we were gonna build a parking lot back here. But it was almost a mile to build the road. I mean, you're talking $500,000. So then we thought maybe Broomhaven go under the trestle. And if we could get a right of way, it's 100 feet, and we're on the trail, and our property's right next door. And build the park. They were all for it. But then they wouldn't give us right away. We were gonna like clean up their area, put some fences up. So that people can see into the the scrapyard and stuff. But then they wouldn't give us the right of way. So now we're back to Ridley Field. Oh, boy, you wanna kind of talk about phase one, phase two?
So, yeah, so this is, phase one, I'm just gonna point out some basic pieces of it. There's an existing road that was constructed that goes along here. The little parking area, I'm not sure what that was there for, or when it was built, but it was for the town. So what we're looking at is staying in that same footprint, shifting it a little bit, reconstructing the road. That road is really not built for vehicle trailers, things like that. So we come around Fairfield Street, construct the roadway here. These purple spots are wetland impacts. That would be part of the development. And then this phase one would include this loop that would allow people to come in, park here, back up, come out. Fairfield Street. So this is phase one, phase two, I think I'm gonna pull the build-up plan on the next. This shows you all the potential growth that we could have if this really takes off. We're gonna parking area here, parking area here, parking area here, I think, yeah, the number, but I think it was like 77 stalls, probably like something like that. Right now, this trail has an access or a parking area off Norwich Walk, and then in there, I know Kelly's been there, pretty small. The state, working with, the state representative, manage zoning trails. And they're really pushing for a parking right here in Oakland, really eager to get that trail off and running. It's active. As far as I know, it's active. They've got a little maintenance work to do in here, but they would really like something like this to come drop going to Oakland. Basically get Greenville wherever from here. That's good. So we're looking at phases for two reasons. One, the extent of gravel area, we go to phase two, would push us into a DEP stormwater permit, which would basically wipe out this construction season. It's gonna take them 90 days before I can get to review my application, when I get the application, in, which takes months to pull together, so. The other aspect is additional wetland up in here, and if we end up getting into any wetland over 4,300 square feet of impact, we have to file a permit with the Army Corps of DEP to get permits for that, so. Full build out is a pretty major task, and I think, phase one is reasonable for Jeff and his crew to get out there and construct that, they could get the grant money. The town reviewed the grant money, we're asking the grant money to pay all materials, including a vehicular gate here, basically to keep that closed if during the spring season, like now, April. We don't want people in there tearing up the parking lot, doing donuts. We talked about the overlook. So we would actually lock that, and like the trail, both of the trails are open way after Memorial Day.
Yeah.
We would open this up, at that point. I think the idea for the state is to use this also for snowmobiling, so obviously it'll be that mud season period where we shut down, and that's a time.
How are they getting from there to the rail trail?
So we have, when the town purchased this property, there was an existing rail crossing on the line tracks that existed. When that, yeah, previous owner, so we would be needing that existing, railway. With railroad approval, we have to apply for it, even though this is considered a, crossing, there's a crossing number. Or a sign that's there, so this has been there for a while, right, wherever, we still have to apply for the cross for the show, so that'll be. Basically, this would be all the vehicles would stop on this side, there would be a P gate here. Another P gate over here, and basically a P gate just prevents anything over the 65 with the 60 inches or something like that for ATV to cross here. Use this is an existing access road, and that goes right through the so vehicle would stop on the side.
So. I guess my thought is, keep that. Try to walk up here. My thought was on that thing. As we talk. We have them all sit here and they go right into the day. They come back and have 6 pack in. And we got all these drunks crossing railroad tracks. It's not a good thing, okay? So why would, and I'm asking, I don't know what Boston just the thought. If it's in wetland here and then wetland up here, we have to apply for more. Why couldn't we use that existing crossing, cross over here and make it out here? And you have trucks and cars, because when I get into a truck or a car, I'm not supposed to be under the influence of alcohol. You hope not. Right, you know what I'm saying? I just, but these people should be under the influence of all anything, but they're going to be. And now, I haul in my trailer, I got 4 ATVs. Well, if I haul in my truck, my trailer, I got 1 vehicle. Not 4. Right, and that Andy brings 4, and Kevin brings 4, Joe brings 3, and you got a whole boatload of them crossing. Wouldn't we be better, Steve? And I think when we first had this a long time ago, we were talking about not using this field back in 2021.
Yeah,
I think 2021, we said we weren't gonna use this field. Well, if I were Mr. Levi Orr, I'd be upset. And we have to think probably, if we're gonna do that, if this, how we vote, okay, we can something.
Yes.
So we did look at that option as well. There really is that, yeah, there really is 2 different options. The option here is, so the idea is what's safer, right? So you get somebody with a trailer and a vehicle crossing over here, across the railroad track, or you get ATVs. I mean, we looked at both different options. I'm not really married to one. I think, you know, any at-grade crossings are, they're dangerous, right? And not whether ATVs are,
It's
so.
like any camp road crossing all along, that's
Well,
like.
we have a ton of camp road crossing.
Stop well listed.
And it may be that the railroad answered that question for us, right? Railroad may say, we don't want your ATV at all, we want vehicles crossing, or they may say the opposite, right? So I don't really know what to apply, but we certainly did talk about that, because there is kind of a necked-in area here in the wetland, which we could, you know, we could cross over there, come up in and get up into that wood area that we originally had planned. This is a design that I did, a concept plan when we were looking at coming down Broom Handle. Broom Handle would have been the best. Because we're under the railroad tracks, vehicles, no crossing, no at-grade crossing, that would have been the best case scenario, mine, for safety. Like Kelly said, the landowner was, we did talk directly to the landowner, but we talked to somebody that works for the railroad. And they seemed receptive, but they were concerned about us splitting the lot with the right of way. No blame them, you know, they've got one single lot up there, we would be splitting it in 2 with the right. That's kind of where the thought we're getting right. We can look at either option, really. I mean, I think if we take, even if we took this up here, we might have a little more impervious area we're dealing with, which means on phase 1, a little less parking. It's not, you know, I guess it's up to the council to decide which way you feel is safe. I can see pluses and minuses anyway. So, hold on.
hang on, go ahead, Dana.
I'll get there when I know.
As soon as we bought this property from Alan Maine back in 21, we got a letter from this guy from the state. Said he wanted 5 acres of this front field. And we told him, no, we bought that property for recreation. That's why Alan sold it to us for a reasonable price. He could have got more for it, but he sold it to us just for recreation. And we didn't intend to put all this traffic right out behind his parents' house. So we told the guy from the state, I can't remember his name, Brian Brunson or something.
Yeah.
And that, no way, we hadn't even looked at the property to see what we wanted to do with it for recreation, so we weren't gonna let them take 5 acres. And if you can see from the dashed little dots there, they signify wetland. They want the only land that's good out front there for a ball field or some recreation type. So I think we ought to tell them that and the other issue is, the other ones would have been better, I admit, but I would rather not even see a road through there, but apparently the other ways are not gonna work out, but that was a crossing there forever to take vehicles across, because my uncle had that field up back there for many years. And before he lived there, it was hayed by somebody else. And so it's been used for a long time, probably before there was crossing there, before Main Central Railroad was there. So they went through there. So I would like to tell them that we're go along with their plan if they put the parking lot out on the other side of the tracks. And they will have to get a permit from the railroad. And our neighbor, in a blue shirt down there, he got permission to go across the railroad. Just like, he's our butter right down the road. And it worked for him, so it ought to work for the state. It seems though they could have as much force as Dave Savage, I don't know. Potential.
That's what, that's there before you bought the property, right? So that's the same thing. So that helps us.
All the landowners there have a crossing.
Right, right. I mean, that's a farm, you know, they called it farm crossing, cattle crossing, or whatever they called it back in the day. Yeah, and if we didn't have a crossing there, this wouldn't even be a discussion. Never, so
This has been since 21 is when we told them that we didn't want them to use the front field.
Okay, thank you, Kelly.
I guess my big concern with the whole thing, one, I'm a neighbor. And there's a lot of residents that live bordering this property who I don't think ever anticipated that we were gonna have an endless stream of trucks and trailers and ATVs coming out and going up Fairfield Street, going in and all hours of the day and night. I guess I have concern with the increased traffic. I love the idea of a park and ride and bringing people to the town of Oakland. But the old cliche, not in my backyard. I kind of feel like this is in my backyard in a sense. I know not all ATVers are bad, side-by-siders or four-wheelers, whatever you are, I know that. But I do know that I have had experience with terrible ones, just since they started going up there, because they're crossing the tracks now, which I don't think they can. But they do, on a regular basis. And so I talked to law enforcement, I was told, report it. So I do, every single time. Until the last time when they threatened my husband and myself. It's gone too far with the bad apples, whatever you wanna call them. But if you're gonna add 70 spots there, you just increase that bad apple population by about 50. I don't think it's a good idea. I don't think it's a good idea. And I'm a little disappointed that it took until I got my council packet to know that this was happening, because it wasn't too long ago I asked, are we still gonna get the rocks put up at the crossing of the railroad tracks? And I was told yes. But this has been happening since I asked that question, so I'm a little concerned that it came a little late.
This 5 acres of state owned. Okay, does that, if you cross the tracks, does that back up to neighbors like you, Kelly, or what?
No,
It doesn't. So what about state putting in for the 5 acres?
We own it, Joe. The state wanted it.
I understand that, but if they want something, you give and take. And if they want to turn that into ball fields, whatever, I think that's a good idea.
they're supposed to put in the parking lot, not us.
Yeah, but have them put it on the other side and get grant them the 5 acres. Yeah, tit and
The
tat.
grant we want to apply for is putting in the park and ride. Our guys would do the 10%
Yeah.
match.
Did anybody look into the idea of going up on Oak Street? It's a lot less traffic up on Oak Street and it's a little bit more wider open area that would bother probably half the people up there. We get quick entrance on that.
Yep, we talked about it, Jeff Hall, Public Works Director, and I talked about that, this got directed this way because the town owns that, they would have to buy property, so that's the main reason we looked at this, and again, using the town resources, Public Works Group. You're looking at just material costs for like state or however funded, so that's definitely a possibility. I mean, there's a number of possibilities for the location. We've looked at, Kelly said, we started first with RFU 18, trying to come off Pleasant Street. I wasn't thrilled with that idea because already Pleasant Street is a nightmare for a couple times a day. You add a bunch of ATVs and stuff like that intersection, and that's just gonna make it that much worse. So it was an option, but I wasn't really thrilled with it. DOT was kind of on board with it, I guess, but it would present problems for the school. Having all those trailers and vehicles, same thing, going through their bus fill. Then we looked at the boom handle, and like I said, from my standpoint, boom handle is the best option. Other than Oak Street, because there is no railroad crossing. You got built an underpass, just would have been, and we could have built a parking right back there. To me, that would have been the best case.
No, if that's what you're talking, yeah, but I'm talking about the one that's on out of Oakland Street. That's where it crosses the road, crosses the railroad track.
Right, the room, that,
No, it's just 10.
Yeah, 10 lots. So yeah, we looked at that, there's a couple properties in there, we haven't, we were kind of presenting this as a preliminary plan to the council, so we haven't approached anybody, but I would say anything that abuts coming off Oak Street, abuts the railroad bed for a park ride is definitely a
Yeah, I think it'd be well worth to check that out, because Frank Cannon's property up there, the farm is now done. And I'm sure they would appreciate a sale of a piece of property up there. Probably very reasonable.
Dave Rhoda?
The intent behind having a parking right in town is so that people would actually come to town, get fuel, go to the restaurants, visit Sunrise Bagel, do whatever they want in town, get fuel. If you're gonna go way out on Oak Street on the 10 Lots Road, don't even bother wasting your time trying to plan something. Cause you're just gonna go another 3 or 4 miles and you can park on Horn Hill. That's all you're gonna do. Unless the ATV riders disagree with what I'm saying.
No, you're right. You've got Horn Hill, you've got Bear Mountain Road, it's got a big parking right now in Orange Walk. Right, there's
So
even
if you're not gonna do something right in town, it's a new point.
We want the state to do the grant and help us pay for it. They are very adamant that it's going to be very close to in town.
Anyway, if we want that traffic, if we want that commerce, it needs to be somewhere where they can access our downtown facility. Go ahead.
Erica Orth, my husband and Levi, we own the land right in front of where this parking lot will be. We're avid ATV riders, so we're not against ATVs, but this is literally in our backyard. I know that the railroad has increased their speeds, and I don't know if law enforcement guys are still here, they increased their speeds through town, right? The trains coming through town. They're already fast, and that train goes through there so many times a day, and with the increased speeds, it seems incredibly dangerous, but also there are multiple houses that have faced this empty field for years, and I'm not sure what that does to our property value. We go to try to sell our houses in the future, who wants to buy a house with a giant parking lot in the backyard? Ruins that for all of these houses that were this land.
The rumor has it that that railroad wants to go up to 70 miles an hour.
It's fast, it's already incredibly fast.
It's about 40 now.
Yeah, they're on that way there.
Chief,
To Billy's point, who would take frequent drives through? Obviously can't face it 24/7, but we would go through there. And also the clubs are always in and out of all of the parking rides, as well as game awards. Day in, night.
the busier the area too, if I can chime in real quick, the busier the area, the community's pretty good at self-policing and reporting on if they see, because most of us that like to ride responsibly understand that those who don't ride responsibly are gonna ruin it for the rest of us. So if I see somebody doing something stupid when I'm out riding, I'm gonna report it. Everybody I talk to, ride responsibly, I ask them to do the same thing. You see something, say something, so that the community is together in an area like that. I don't know, kind of with the forks, I don't know if that's necessarily where we wanna go with the parking ride for Oakland, though. Don Bowman?
I'm going back to the comment about when talking with something property. Most of the discussion was the recreational area. Perhaps if we had to move our public works school. Because the so-called and Boston training, could possibly be partially viable on that. Both side. I guess in the economic boom. Significant enough for us to change our plans. What we have invested in, we've already got whatever the purchase price was. We have to do a lot of public work.
Which the state would pay for with this grant.
And they said that 3 or 4 years ago that they would pay for it, and we weren't bought enough. We were saying, we purchased this property for a lot of other uses. I guess we have to say that the parking ride is significant value to the town to change the other plans that we had.
and do something different. And I don't know if we've had that discussion yet.
How do they get to town?
Sounds like a meeting.
They get to town.
So that, part of this that you can't, that you don't see, so whether if the park and ride. Decided to happen, whether it's here or here, they would use the old railroad bed and we would construct a trail to the Pleasant Street intersection that would provide them access in the. Triangular area or wherever the council deems they want ATV to ride, to fill up gas, go to the restaurant, whatever. So it would be a similar type thing, like if let's say we came up through here, park and ride was here, or, park hall there or there. There would be a P gate right here that would only allow ATV access down here, we would have to construct on another phase. A trail going through the school property, to get to the Pleasant Street. We talked to them preliminarily about it. They're on board, their board is, they talked about it, they understand, the benefits from the town of having, a dog. So that's how they would access Pleasant Street.
So they would
ATV.
be driving in front of the schools?
But through the bus, like on the edge of the bus garage is where we looked at, kind of along the railroad on the open side.
So I don't understand what they're getting to. They drive to there, what do they have access to?
So they would have access to like the
Bus
bus station, Fabian.
They already have access to the mobile station.
No.
From the other way.
So it would be restaurants, whatever, in whatever area that the council decides they want to limit ATV access to. And I don't really have an answer for that, other than that's a point to access the roads, whatever the council.
That would be another vote down the road, that we would have to look at whether we're gonna allow access around the triangle here. I mean, there's two gas stations and two different places to eat, and when they go pay and spend a lot of money. I think they, well, the people on Penfold there, and they'll get down these trails, and there all day, and they buy lunch, buy gas. So this would be a real good business thing for our stores that are around the triangle. If we voted to let them go in town. Absolutely. Angela?
The issue that I have is we kick the can down the road, but we never actually come and get the can. With the reevaluation of taxes, people are upset, but this revenue that these ATVs can bring in is incredible. It would offset so many things. It could pay for the new equipment that the police department needs at a drop of a hat. I spend hundreds of dollars when we go every weekend. Why do I wanna spend it in Solon when people would come to Oakland and, frequent our restaurants, our gas stations, it's a win-win for us, but we never get beyond a certain point and then it all peters out. And so we're always looking to the next best thing and nothing ever gets done. And that's my concern, is we're gonna lose that revenue that this brings in. And, like I said, it's gonna be a win-win for us, because then the taxes aren't gonna go up as much. We can have more, resources for that. But they're complaining about the parking ride being there, and it's gonna be noisy, but if they put a ball field in, it's gonna be just as noisy and disruptive to their property as a parking ride, where people are gonna offload, go on the track and be gone. If you have baseball games, you're gonna have all that, the yelling and the screaming and the stadium and the loudspeaker, so it's kinda the best of both worlds, really, because even if the parking ride is on that side, they're in and out and gone, they're not gonna hang around in the parking lot, I mean, they're there to ride. But that's just my opinion, we gotta start building on something.
Sure. Go ahead.
So I just, I'm not married to any one option, right? There are a number of options for this parking, right? We talked about a couple here. Look at a butter that's talked to us that has an existing railroad crossing. They talked about possibly working with us to get access out back here as well. Another possibility, Old Street's another possibility. And again, there are pros and cons, I think, for any of these. The one, I certainly understand the impact on the butter. It's great. That's, the con as far as this design goes, is the impact on the residential neighborhoods. If we went on the other side of the road, the positive of having it over here is it's inside. The concern I have this is not based on anything other than just personal, I'm also an avid ATVer. We put the parking lot back in there's trees all around here, it's kind of out of sight. Police maybe have to go up there more often versus police can come down Fairfield Street, look in and. It's all right, so that is, I kind of envision that as a pro on this side, as far as just the visual, people not destroying the parking lot thing. So that's a pro for that, but there are certainly cons associated with this as well. I mean, it's, yeah, there's a number of different options here. We looked at several.
So
Hang on, go ahead, Ed.
you talked about having a safety, committee and everything like that. Has anybody thought about a traffic that we already did out here with automobiles? Now you want to put four-wheelers and side-by-eights up and down the street, Main Street and Plain Street and so on?
I've seen.
I've seen a lot of these.
I know, you talk about the bad apples or whatever, that you, when I come to recommend earlier, I mean, I've seen, they're not allowed, but I've seen ATV fly up KMT like they were a vehicle now. So, not. You know, I'm not, you know, as far as safety and things like that, I think there's a balance. I mean, there's a draw for the benefits of the community from a tax standpoint, from a, you know, the businesses helping them, but there's pluses and negatives down there, right? So there's, you're gonna create some more traffic issues for sure.
Hey, Kevin?
I'm asking for the Meslonsky Club. I know there's a lot of bad apples out there. There's a lot of good people. The club is asking for this. I personally have been working on this idea for 5 years. I started way back with the other guy from the state. He said it would never go through, Oakland would never allow it. And I told him I would prove you wrong. Okay, 5 years later, I'm now sitting here to vote on this. Okay, I would prefer the park and ride to be at the other end. For one, it's way drier up there. The only downfall is you gotta have a little bit longer road to get up there. Not a real big deal. The state's paying for this 100%. For two, we're all asking for cameras and have it all patrolled by the game wardens, by the clubs, by the police department. And we do a very, very good job of it. I think this is gonna be good for the town. It's gonna bring a lot of revenue.
Thank you, David. I think there's a misconception about the amount of traffic bothering the schools, and all that. Riders aren't out there Monday through Friday during the day when everybody's working and going to school. It's gonna be some riders in the evening, and then the weekends, Saturday and Sunday are gonna be busy. For the riders. What's not there on the weekends? Kids. All the downtown traffic. None of that stuff's there on the weekend. You look at, other than Oak Fest, this is a ghost town on the weekend. So keep that part of it in mind, that we're not trying to institute something to mess town up. We're trying to bring stuff to town, and most riders, the good riders, less than the drunks and less than 50% of them bad drivers. I mean, bad riders. We rely responsible.
I just want to reinforce the thing, but that's what I was thinking too. I heard wrong week, I mean, I went around all the time, but I'm retired. But most of these, you guys are still working. You can't ride during the week. So the whole weekend, and you're absolutely right, there's nothing going on. So the traffic pattern's down, the kids aren't in school. And it's gonna make money for the town. I guarantee you that. So, cause I see what people spend with the ATV. You go to Solon, you go to a lot of places, and I have friends up there, and they make their money during the winters with the snowmobiles, okay? The same thing with the ATV guys. They buy gas, they buy coats, they buy candy, they buy hamburgers, whatever. There's a lot of money in that. That's an expensive sport. We run them down.
I agree too. I think I agree with you on the safety side, less traffic going over if you have it on the other side. And as far as riding in town in Greenville, they all ride the streets, just follow the same rule in Greenville.
With no problem.
John?
My thought is, we've had a lot of night activity out there, I would believe.
No.
No, how are you gonna stop that? Most people go ride all day long, they come back, load up, it's gonna be
A
after
lot of
dark.
people don't ride in the dark.
Uh,
They don't ride in the dark. A lot of people don't ride in the dark.
No.
There's a few.
Oh, it's changed since I was young, man.
Yeah, no,
One of those bad apples.
Why? Because I drove at night.
Kevin, okay, I have Doug here. He's the last one. He also does coalition. He deals with every club in the state of Maine. We have multiple towns that every road in their town is open. They have no problems, zero problems. And what do they do have? Occasional little teenager or something that's causing a problem. If you have any questions, Doug, I'm sure can answer any question on any of them towns.
I know a lot of the clubs out there and a lot of the towns, there's actually been several this year that have applied for and got permission to ride all the streets in their town. Some like to limit the towns, access on particular roads, and others just say, whatever we got, you can ride, anything under 1,500 feet, town approved. We have state roads here, state roads require DOT approval as well, so there's another process we have to go through, but none of this really applies to that, so. No, this is gonna be a moneymaker for the town, no question about it. If you look at the Newport Trail System on the weekend during the summer, that place is packed. They don't have any place local to go unless they go down into Newport, and Newport gets pummeled.
And they come in and they spend thousands of dollars, gas, oil, food. Little Johnny's gonna have ice cream.
I just want to expand on my comment about night. I was pushing it would be on the back side of those tracks. So that the people that live there don't have to deal with people coming in, the lights going, flashing in their windows and everything. They want to have a quiet evening. If the park was on the other side, we wouldn't have as much of that. You'd have the vehicles coming out without all the other traffic.
I just have one more, that's it, and that is, are these four-wheelers required to buy insurance like everybody else on the road?
Yes. They'll be insured and registered. So
He's saying no.
They're not required to have insurance on their machines.
really,
That's not, state of Maine will not pass that, what's that?
Unless they have a loan on the vehicle.
Well, that's right, if you have, there's like a mortgage on anything, you have to have insurance on it, the state will not require that. That's gone to legislation twice now in the last 5 years, it's been shot down.
And most of these people, they got $30,000-$40,000 machines.
Yeah.
Trust me, they have insurance on their machines.
Yeah.
You know, I myself have a $28,000 machine. I have insurance on it.
We encourage it.
And most all your people riding do have insurance.
I need to make it insurance.
Because it makes sense. It makes sense.
Kelly, I have a question about what you just said. When you submit your grant, do you have to have a map of where the park and ride will be to even process the grant? Or will they accept it without, the location being figured out?
Our cost estimates that we put together were based on this, but I'm just trying to think here as we're talking about if we can, because obviously the time is gonna be, I think, for the grant.
Yeah, when I don't think people are saying no to a park and ride in general, just that location.
Right.
So it would be nice if the grant could proceed.
So we're gonna figure out what it's gonna cost across the track.
Yeah, we could look at, really see, well, there's another.
You were talking about it.
We could look at this, but I mean, if the council wants. There are other options besides this as well, so that's the question I have is how many options do we look at to try to put in an application for the one that costs the most money? So we can make sure we're covered with 4 or 5 different things we've all talked about here tonight as far as options.
How many of them, though, keep this close to town? How many options are to keep it close?
Well, you've got again, the broom handle, we can revisit that with the owner, we've got the abutter that I talked about. We've got these two, and then Oak Street, Councilor Dora mentioned, that's kind of getting out of town a little too far.
Yes, and again, if it's out on the outskirts of town, the state will not go for the grant, they will not pay for it. If it is not in town.
So that.
They made that very clear to me.
Yeah, unless it's property that we could purchase close to this, closer to town in Oakland, Oak Street, I mean, that would. Get us closer to the downtown, then it probably knocks Oak Street out, so you're looking at probably 3 or 4 access options.
They know.
Boy, I looked at the tax maps and I think if you came from Oakland, you're talking a lot longer road. I mean, measurements, but just looking at the size on the tax map, it's a little ways from the tracks to Oakland.
Yeah, unless you get up toward,
Well,
lots or whatever, and then,
in-laws
then
and
that
crosses.
defeats the purpose, right? I think you're right. When I look at the aerial, I think you're right, Dana. It is a little further around.
Yeah.
So what you need tonight is just a motion to go after the grant. And you can, there'd be a vote at some point on the actual.
Yeah, I think what we need tonight is a motion. To go after the grant, but we also need to know what laws, you know, and the minute you said that, we ought to buy more property. I hate buying more property for the town.
That's why we don't, I don't mind. I like having them.
Yeah.
Just I think.
Out back.
Out back.
Out back.
What's the timeline for your grant?
I'm sorry.
What's the timeline for your grant?
So the application is due the end of May, and
30th.
my understanding is probably sometime late summer that will.
The meat trail spot.
Gotta have a grant in by
This grant, I don't
This
know
was,
if he indicated when we were done.
we get approved right away and then it's a reimbursement.
Right, so we've got the money up front. So if we apply for the grant and we're successful, get the grant, we could potentially start construction this year.
Immediate.
And then, we have to pay for our front and then the state will reimburse us, but there's another main trails grant fund.
Yeah.
That bond that starts in like August, right? October, September, that would pay for it.
So are you saying you had to have this all resolved by the end of May?
No, so what I think we're talking about doing, with the council, we're doing is figuring out what the costs are for, it sounds like on a general consensus right now, getting a consensus on where we should focus our efforts, then I'll get together with Kelly, we'll figure out the cost estimates to do that, make the revision to the application, submit the application by the end of May. That's like design, it's like easy work to the application, submit it, have public meetings or whatever we need to do for that.
So what does the state say when it comes to wetlands as far as insuring them is called? You have to redo them somewhere else?
No, you have to pay for it. So, and there's once you get over 4,300 square feet, which you get 4,300 square feet of wetland impact at no cost. Basically, anybody on property, if they can impact 4,300 square feet of wetlands, as long as they're not wetlands inspected significant, no compensation needed to the state. When you get up over 4,300 square feet, it's talking about, especially Army Corps in lieu fees, and that's when the costs start really.
If we ever wanted ball fields here, it's gonna impact a lot of.
I'll give you an example. I have a project that I worked on, not in town, but with my business. Recently that had 7,500 square feet of wetland, which is not a big area, and it was an old field. Old agriculture field, it had been agriculture for years, but it was a kind of an area that was wet, kind of like what we have up there. It cost my client $53,000 in permit fee Army Corps to disturb 7,500 square feet of well. It's very expensive. So yeah, if you can limit or not impact wetland.
I'd like to make a motion to allow the town manager to proceed with the grant, provided that we're looking at the west side of tracks rather than behind the golf ranges.
Second motion.
Motion's been made second, all in favor? Opposed? Thank you. Next up, the manager's report.
The turtle signs on McGraw Pond Road are up. We're getting ready to lean 2024 property taxes next week. We have 258 unpaid accounts for a total of $291,308 that are still owed. So hopefully Kathy and I looked at it, beginning of April, we had over 700 bills due. It was thousands of dollars, so we've chopped it down a lot. Well, it's still a lot. May 20th, so next Tuesday, forgot to put that on the upcoming meeting. We're gonna have a revaluation informational meeting right here at 6 o'clock. Nicole Stenberg, our assessor, is gonna be here to speak with residents about the revaluation. We will be recording it. We've had several people ask to be recorded, so we will be recording it and posting it. And then, Nate is here to talk quickly about dangerous buildings, give a quick update on that.
Yeah, so. The property on Oak Street, the Blanchard House, you guys saw, but I spoke to the owner, the boys, the sons decided they were gonna board up. I asked if they would board up going to the stores. They did so, and then one of the sons called me and said that they were planning on, ripping the house down, putting a pad in, putting a double wide in. We are on that one. We do have another one that's off Hubbard Street that I'm gonna start working on. But I think we all know where that one is. So we're gonna start working. I came to you last week, or last month, last meeting, regarding dangerous buildings. So, just to let you know, we are moving forward with that, but also that Blanchard property was the key topic of that last meeting. So, we can secure that out. Hopefully, we move forward with that. So, do you have any questions?
Smithfield Road.
Smithfield Road. Oh, that one that's, we talked about that as well, yeah.
Is that anything?
Yeah. Thank you. Good.
One more thing, Great Coughlin, with the fire department was awarded a $50,000 grant, to buy equipment. Dave, you wanna give a quick, or Adam? Quick overview of.
Alan commended a lot of work on it. It's the main EMS stabilization grant. It's basically all about those solid ice. It's awarded $50,000 to kind of have a department get together, kind of sit together, along with some items. Some stuff is new to us, some stuff is replacement. And a couple of the larger items, with a machine that'll do CPR compressions. So like it's a piece of equipment that we don't have. A lot of parents do now. And then a battery operated extrication tool for vehicle extrications. So those are a couple of the bigger items and a lot of smaller things to upgrade our EMS bag equipment. And so I'm just going to look to the council to approve us accepting those funds and.
I make the motion, we accept those funds.
Motion's been made, I'll second that, all in favor? In favor?
Oh, I'm sorry, I was reading the list.
Oh, no problem. I understand. Yeah.
And just for information, Dave and his crew have got grants over the years that total, what, $500,000 now or something?
Most of them.
Or $3 million?
So, you have anything else?
I have nothing else.
So, we have, Kelly, we have.
Request for information on if the trees that were cut down at the cemetery on Lakeview Drive are going to be, have the stumps ground down because they look awful. That's what I would ask.
did.
The ones along the road by the fence. It was like,
By the boat landing.
yeah, no, along the road. With the fences, like 10 trees that were cut down and all the stumps are still there. And they say it looks terrible. I drove down there, it does look terrible, but. I told them I would ask about that.
Anything else?
I'll just mention Libby Hill again. That's getting worse.
The water.
No, when you come down Libby Hill, where the old Christmas tree shop was, where the pavement's actually dropped. So it's,
That's a deal.
Well, they swept it, Dave, you know.
there, it wasn't as bad.
I know, it's one of those.
Other than that, not many, it's just.
It's on their project list here to be paid, so I don't know if they're grinding or not. You need not fair.
third party requests, and most everybody knows here, we did not fund those in the budget this year. I talked to Kelly today about it a little bit, I'd like to make a motion, because she works for the council, not for me. That we approve her working on a system to collect donations from people at the desk when they come in to pay bills for these third parties that requested money this year. I know her and her staff can come up with some way to do it and have a form to make out, a system to keep the money and pay it when it's time. So I'd make a motion that we approve her time to work, have her staff work on that.
Motion for me, we have a second? Well, I'll second that. All in favor? Opposed? Okay, we got it, thank you. Anything else? No. Good. I only have one thing, is I'd like to ask the police department, when I started today, they're starting to fish on the other side of the bridge coming down Libby Hill. And it's very, 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 very dangerous because big trucks from down there.
We have no fishing signs.
Big
but I'll
trucks, yeah.
start to
But
have-
you just ask the police.
Add to that, Mike, I drive the Rice River Road every day, and that has become the new fishing hotspot.
Yeah.
The bridge on the Rice River Road,
Right on it, yeah.
and there's just no growth.
That's a small bridge, yeah, small part thing.
New hotspot for fishing.
Just stop.
And an alter.
So in opposition of Randall's motion. I think if Kelly would, their office would spend some time just putting a list of where you could make your donations. That would be perfectly fine. I don't think it's our job to be collecting money, people to send it to someplace else, using our staff's time.
Kelly, would that be inside?
Motion to adjourn.
Sure.
Thank you. Good night, so thanks for coming in. No, I don't. This is really, for a long.